Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Soraya Mia. Are cash handouts the best tool to aid recovery? And is a confidence vote required for the new PM? That's coming up. Malaysia's daily COVID cases fell below 18,000 for the first time in 2 weeks. Sarawak overtook Selangor as the state with the highest number of COVID cases, with 3,714. Malaysia also reported 272 deaths related to COVID-19 today. Meanwhile, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the large number of COVID deaths in highly vaccinated areas like the Klang Valley and Sarawak are due to a backlog in death reports. Speaking in Sabah today, he said the number can be expected to go down in the next 2 or 3 weeks. The government promised more support for Sabah's strained healthcare system starting tomorrow. Khairi said resources are on its way, including more vaccine supplies, medical assets, and manpower to treat COVID-19 patients. Khairi said Sabah will likely start vaccinating those between 12 and 17 years old by end of October, once 80% of its adult population is fully vaccinated. The federal government will send 2.89 million vaccine doses to Sabah this month. That will help ramp up the daily vaccination rate to 70,000. At the moment, 42% of the Sabah adult population are fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, Sarawak Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg said the state is now in the final phase of evaluating vaccination for adolescents aged 12 to 17, amounting to over 289,000 individuals. Khairi said Sarawak would be the first state to vaccinate teenagers, as 80% of its adult population had been fully vaccinated. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hussein will meet 3 other ministers to discuss the adjustment and relaxation of SOPs in preparation for the endemic phase. He said they are Health Minister Khairi, Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, and Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa. Hishamuddin added that as preparation for the endemic phase, the government is looking into suitable relaxations to give to people to allow them to go about their everyday lives with as much freedom as possible under the new normal. However, he assured that the government remains concerned to protect people's life and livelihood while reviving the economy and ensuring people's well-being. Hishamuddin said the SOP relaxation would probably include allowing the people to travel interstate for various reasons and opening more economic sectors. He also said that he had instructed the MKN to update the SOP and relaxation, giving to relevant ministries to allow it to be easily understood. Johor is set to receive over 400,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine that will be donated by Singapore and United Arab Emirates. Johor Menteri Besar Datuk Hasni Mohamad said the donation by Singapore was on top of 20,000 doses of Sinovac vaccine donated by the Republic on July 29th. Speaking at the State Assembly meeting, Hasni announced that Singapore will be giving 100,640 doses of the Pfizer vaccine to Johor soon. In addition to that, the state government will also receive 300,000 doses of the Sinopharm vaccine donated by the UAE government. The Banut Assemblyman thanked former Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hussein for his efforts in obtaining and facilitating the process of receiving the vaccines for Johor. Phase 1 payments for Bantuan Khas COVID-19 relief will be disbursed beginning today. The cash aid, totaling some 3.1 billion ringgit, would benefit about 10 million people, especially in the lower income groups. We speak to Bank Islam Chief Economist Muhammad Afzanizam Abdul Rashid on the effectiveness of direct cash assistance in helping alleviate the burden faced by Malaysians impacted by COVID-19.
Obviously, this BKC or even the Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat, the BPR, is meant to address the short-term measures. As I said, the recovery will take time. And of course, during this period, those basic necessities has to be met. So these are the role played by these direct cash transfers. But beyond that, I think we need to set aside in terms of what would be the the right tools, the right instruments. So hopefully, at the end of the day, this direct cash transfers over time, it will be reduced simply because our measures on education, our measures to attract quality investment, our measures to create more high quality jobs should be started to bear fruits in the next perhaps 5 or 10 years down the road.
In addressing long-term economic relief, Afzal Nizam stressed the need to enhance social upward mobility.
What I mean is by social upward mobility, there is improvements in terms of the income level, in terms of the quality of jobs. So if you reach that point, I mean, theoretically speaking, you don't need this kind of direct cash transfers, because at that point, I suppose these people are in a good state. They are able to at least meet all those basic necessities, and ideally, the number of recipients of any form of direct cash transfers over time should be reduced. That should be the goal.
Cash handouts, he said, cannot be a long-term solution. He underscored the importance of improving financial acumen among Malaysians and cultivating a spirit of entrepreneurship.
We need to prepare our future leaders. We need to prepare our future labor force. And we know that business landscape continue to remain challenging. With or without COVID-19, it continues to evolve. And there's also concerns over the technological advancements. So education is very critical in the sense that we must be able to produce our graduates, our so-called future leaders that can be able to adapt this kind of changes. And you know that business landscape, we talk about cost optimizations. That would mean demand for laborers, especially for the big corporations, may not be that great going forward. So in that sense, I think the demand for labor going forward will be coming from the small and medium enterprises, SMEs, and also perhaps along the way, promoting the spirit of entrepreneurships could be one of the key agenda to promote more quality job creations.
We will take a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob should table a vote of confidence when Parliament sits on September 13. International Islamic University law expert Professor Dr. Nik Ahmad Kamal Nik Mahmud said this would be the best way forward to achieve a stable government and to affirm trust to the people.
In the light of the crisis that we had in the past 18 months, I believe that when the government is a bit shaky in the sense that the government does not have that 120 seats that support, so 120 members of parliament that support him or more, you see, in that respect, it's a bit shaky. So in that, I would think that it would good for the Prime Minister to table a motion of confidence, even though it may not be a constitutional requirement, but for the sake of ensuring that there is stability in the government, to ensure that there are supports clearly by the members of parliament, and the fact that it was the Yang di-Tuan Agong who wants it to be done. Okay, so out of respect to the Yang Tuan Agong, and also to ensure that the people are satisfied, because the people will feel that now suddenly that the government does not carry out their vote of confidence motions, and the people feel that it was already said by the Tuan Agong. Why not follow? I mean, that will otherwise it will create a kind of disrespect to the Tuan Agong, and at the same time, the people will feel that the government is not abiding to what has been asked or what has been said by the Tuan Agong. I think in that respect, establishing a new convention that is good to ensure stability, to ensure that the government is secured in the true sense of the word in Parliament, I think it should be done.
Attorney General Tan Sri Idrus Harun said on Saturday that Ismail Sabri need not seek a vote of confidence in the Dewan Rakyat, which is in line with the law. Dr. Nick said that although a motion of confidence is not a constitutional requirement, it is good practice by any new administration.
I believe that it is something which is good. It will, in a way, stabilize the government, and the government will not lose in any way, because the government has already got this certainty, right, in that respect, because they have already got 114 supports via the SDs, and also the visit of the members of parliament and the statement by the members of parliament to the Yang Tan Agong. Okay, I do not think any reason for the government to be afraid of, stabling the motion of confidence. But it is not constitutional in the sense, because there's nothing in the constitution. But I believe that it is good for the government to do so, to ensure that there is stability for the next 24 months or so before we have our elections. All right. So in that respect, it is not a constitutional requirement, but I believe it is actually something that the Yang Tan Agong feel is good to practice, and in a constitutional law sense, it is actually trying to establish a new convention.
Putrajaya is at odds with the palace once again after the AG stated there's no need for a new PM to seek confidence vote. Is there room for interpretation? Tonight we ask our guests what implications this decision might have. That's coming up right after Awani Tonight. Family members of the victims of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 shot down in 2014 are set to give their testimony in court this week. 3 Russians and a Ukrainian are on trial for the murder of 298 passengers and crew. The relatives will be allowed to address judges and lawyers in a Dutch court about the impact of the crash on their lives. MH17 was en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur when it was shot down over eastern Ukraine in July 2014. International investigators and prosecutors say it was hit by a Russian surface-to-air missile. The murder trial started in the Netherlands in 2020. International arrest warrants have been issued for the 4 suspects. Moscow, however, has refused to extradite those in Russia and denies all responsibility. The Dutch court has scheduled 3 weeks to hear the relatives speak and will also review written statements provided by other family members. 47 Malaysians died in the crash. Myanmar's military rulers have agreed to a ceasefire until the end of the year to ensure distribution of humanitarian aid. Special ASEAN envoy to Myanmar, Erwan Yusof, said he proposed the 4-month ceasefire in a video conference with the military's foreign minister and that the military had accepted it.
Speaking to Kyodo News Online, Yusof said it will not be a political ceasefire. It is only to enable the smooth delivery of the first batch of humanitarian assistance to the country, expected as early as mid-September. Following a coup in February, ASEAN has been trying to end violence in Myanmar and open a dialogue between the military rulers and their opponents. Yusof added that ASEAN nations and dialogue partners had pledged $8 million in aid for Myanmar.
The Philippines will lift its lockdown in the capital Manila this week, despite the country reporting record-high infections of over 22,000 new cases today. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said the government will switch localized lockdowns in Metro Manila instead, where a household, building or street could be targeted. Daily cases have doubled the number at the start of the lockdowns since a month ago, straining hospitals as they grapple with a shortage of nurses. That is all we have for you on Awani Tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro Awani app. I'm Soraya Mia. We'll see you again.